contains three very important songs. Well, I don't know how important they are. They're important to me. And that is, let me come into the picture here. Horror Rock, which, you know, the instrumental theme song from the television show, the hit television show Vampires. And then snuck in there is Pythagoras, excuse me, at least the part of it that Mark wrote. And last but not least, Little Nightmare by our buddy John Entwistle. And speaking of Exhumed, I saw the artwork today, the final art. You're going to like it. It's going to make you remember things and feel things, and I think you're going to like it.
Right. I do too. Yeah. I liked it a lot.
It's a good concept, and I know Johnny would like it.
Oh, I know.
I mean, just imagine in your mind that the name of this record is Exhumed, right? Rarities Exhumed, Volume 1. And then imagine what that cover would look like. You could either like do it black with some like old English, but
yeah, but that wouldn't be John's.
No.
Did you sent it to Chris? Did he comment yet?
No, I haven't heard back from Chris. But you know,
he's getting his new car tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we should be shouting that out to the world.
Okay. Well, no.
But yeah. So anyway.
Chris Chanel wants to know if Tony Centron isn't related to George.
George, I would have to ask the same question. I'm thinking not, because I think if George had a drummer that had a brother or a cousin or a relation of some sort that was as good as this guy is, I think I would have heard of him. But you never know. And Centron could be.
Your brother's a cousin doesn't mean you get along.
So what are you saying? That George hates this guy?
No.
This is, first of all, well, I mean,
I'm saying if it was my brother, I wouldn't be putting him in my band.
Would I be having him on the show?
Nope.
Hey there, Sheriff, come on the show.
Nope.
Let's talk about stuff.
Nope. I got
have you
three
seen
brothers I have not talked to in 18 years. So there's that.
Well, there is that.
There is that. But I'm not Italian, so.
I am, and I have one of those. Hasn't been 18 years, but I'm working on it. Okay.
We don't follow the rules.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something.
Not thicker than water, people.
I heard, this is... I have a friend out there. You know who you are, my friend. And we talk about lifestyles all the time. Just casual conversations about, things like retirement and 401ks and shit like that. And, contracts, long-term employment, this and that and the other thing. Let me tell you what. It's as risky to be in any business as it is to be in the music business. The advantage that we have is we are prepared from like the first couple of weeks. We know money's going to be a problem. Logistics are going to be a problem. People are going to be a problem. Experts that have no idea what they're talking about. But we're hip to that, that's like Music 101.
Yeah, people who try to be your friends and you don't know if it's because they really
Klingons,
like you.
Yeah, you got Klingons,
They just want to be around
But,
the
what's that got to
band.
do with a 401k? I don't know. I saw somebody wrote somewhere in some string on social media that their 401k took a $78,000 hit. I'm proud to say that my 401k is as exactly as it's been for all these years, never changing, and...
Because you never had one. But he did a 401k...
I did a 401k industrial commercial.
Okay.
For 401ks. Mm-hmm. That's the first time I ever heard of them.
We cool.
I
And
don't
I
think
still don't know what the hell they are.
it's a way of not paying you your money and making you think that you'll get it later.
Oh,
And
fuck that. Oh, excuse me.
Excuse
Screw
me.
that.
Screw that. Yes, not me. But listen, some people like that, and all these stock market people. I'll tell you when I learned my lesson about stock, and it wasn't all that long ago. In the 90s.
In the 90s?
Mm-hmm. When we when we signed the record deal with this new fledgling label,
Oh.
they gave John and me each 10,000 shares of stock in their company.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever see the Little Rascals episode where the lady sends the bonds up? Bonds are going up. That thing when they make the kite tail out of the lady's bonds, the old lady's bonds, Little Rascals.
Don't recall that one.
Listen, Steiny.
I'm just saying I don't recall.
No, well, it's a really obscure one.
Oh.
It's one of the black and white ones.
Huh.
All right. Anyway, so well, yeah. So I mean, anybody interested in 10,000 shares of kite tails? Boom. So let's see. What else is in the world? Okay, I told you I saw the final artwork for Oxzoomed Volume 1.
Yeah, it looks really good. And we have John's actual Remy bottle on it.
Oh, did you just give something away that I was keeping as a... What?
Really? Is that big a deal to give away?
Well, if it is, you certainly stomped all over that, didn't you?
Hey, you know what? I'm just giving it some press here.
Yeah, you're giving it some press.
That's right. It's like before you go see a movie,
You're
you see
pressing your luck.
You see the people and they're like sharing parts of the movie with the public. Keeping a secret the whole time. Nobody's going to go see the movie.
It's not a secret the whole time.
Yeah, so we have one of John's Remy bottles. We actually have one that's not opened.
Yeah, this is an empty one.
How many years later? 22 years.
Well, I'll tell you what, since you've taken us there, the Remy bottle that I posted, I guess it was to the group or someplace, that's the actual Remy bottle that we used in part of the art. Now, you don't tell them anything else about the art. It is supposed to be a secret.
But the reason
So
that...
somewhere, can you not? Really? Just,
Can you just not?
Can you
just
really?
stop?
Taylor, hook it up for me.
Our guest is going to be here in 1
Anyway,
minute.
there are things that are hidden.
Yep.
And that's all I can really say about that.
But I will tell
I
you.
didn't want to say that much, but can I say my co-captain, co-pilot, pilot.
I've been making traditional French apple cakes with that Remy.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Because we had a bottle. I mean, now you got to realize too, I guess, this bottle is at least 20 years old. Right? I mean,
22. John's been dead
2001.
22.
No, 20.
Oh, 20. Okay. Yeah, at least 20 years old.
And it was open.
No, I think we opened it when Larry came.
Did we?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I know
So
we have
Larry
one.
could drink some of John's Remy. And one bottle we didn't open.
Oh, that's right. We were infusing.
And we got that big giant one somewhere. I don't know.
We were
where that
infusing the bass player in the new band with Remy. That's how it happened.
But it tastes really good.
So over the years, I mean, if you use it, oh, now I'm saved by
Tony Cintron.
Here comes. Come in.
Steve,
Hey, man.
how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. Man, I like that space capsule you're in.
Yeah, it's safe out here, bro, and I'm like, I feel comfortable, and it's good. All good.
Very cool. It's a pleasure to meet you, man.
And
You probably assume I know you don't know me from Adam, but I'm one of those Bronx, raised in Westchester County drummer that was thankful of my parents for moving me out of the hood in the Bronx as a Latino kid. And that's where I started listening in Mount Vernon. I heard about Rat Race Choir when I was, God, I must have been around 13, 14.
Oh man, this I love this, and Tony, let me tell you what. First of all, we know each other now, and that's all that matters. And
Yeah, absolutely.
the hell with Adam, he can just I don't know Adam, but I know Tony, and I'm happy to know you. And Mount Vernon, especially Mount Vernon, is so freaking important to me in my mind, in the whole story. My favorite pizza in the world is on Lincoln Avenue.
Your favorite what?
Pizza.
My brother made pizza from 15 years old at Pizza King there on Gramerton Avenue.
You see, man,
But you're talking about Johnny's Pizza.
You know I am.
Yeah.
You know I am.
Those guys know my brother well.
I'll tell you what, I was so sad to hear, the losses that they've had in the past couple of years. I'm sure you heard about it too. But we used to live at the top of Westchester County, and we would drive all the way down with the dog in the back seat down the Bronx River Parkway. And when we would get to a certain exit, we'd call in 2 pies, and we would roll up. Just not park, just roll up right in front of the door. They would come out with them. It was like, it was the greatest thing. Like, drive-in perfect.
Yeah.
They were fantastic people. Whenever I'm there, I try to.
Where did you live in Westchester?
In White Plains.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I get on.
First in I forget what the church was, but I interrupted your story. I just wanted you to know that first of all, to me, I've heard you play, so I knew you before you got here. If you know it.
Where I've heard you play
on the record, man, with Will and
Will Lee, yeah.
Steve shared me some of this, man, and especially on that one was it Living in America, right?
Yeah, James Brown cover.
You have you want to talk about the revering and going on. I saw James Brown and White Plains when the RKO Theater was at the end of Mamaroneck Avenue. I couldn't have been more than 12 or 13 years old, and man. So, brother, you put it down. It was
that's all I can do. I'm not a technician. Well, listen, I've heard you play. I've seen you on videos with John at the Whistle, and that I just moved back here to Danbury, Connecticut from Sarasota, but I was living in Tampa. So
wow.
you played at a place that I played every other week at the Hideaway Cafe with your trio.
Man, played there with Xander too. We played there with Robin Xander. He's the one who turned us on to it.
Yeah, I used to play there 3 years ago. I was still playing there every other Wednesday.
I'm sorry I didn't know that. That would have been.
That's okay. So it's a small world.
Man. So, well, first of all, you heard, I'm thinking, what was the school? We played a school in Mount Vernon.
Oh, I don't know. There was so many. My very first gig was at Lincoln School, but I don't know, Mount Vernon High School with Rat Race Choir? No?
Yeah, maybe. Or I can't remember where they were, Mount St. Michael's or
Mount St. Michael's, borderline Mount Vernon in the Bronx.
Okay.
But I don't want to interrupt you because we're just talking, right?
Believe me, man, this is the same conversation that you and me would have at Johnny's.
Okay.
So no, it's an open door. If I can answer, please fire away.
I'm curious about Rat. You don't want to talk about Rat Race Choir?
No, I'm fine with it, man.
Because I thought maybe there was some bad blood there when I said before Rat Race Choir. You said I don't. Anyway, so I went to Mount Vernon High School, and there was this great drummer that was the drum leader, the drum section leader. For the high school marching band, which I was in, and I got kicked out because I was a clown. I lasted a year in the marching band. So it was Richard Fazio. Do you know that name?
Yes, I do know that name.
And for some reason, I remember him saying that I actually, he was talking about. I think you were playing a Rat Race Choir in the '70s, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, he was talking. He was talking about you to me about Rat Race Choir, but I was this ignorant, Latino kid from the Bronx and I grew up Christian, so like, don't listen to rock music because if you play those records backwards, there's going to be that kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
But I knew about, and all I heard was good things about the drummer Rat Race Choir, and here I am, finally meeting who the guy that we're talking about. It's
Well,
amazing.
that's
I mean, so, and then of course, I checked out some of your stuff with Steve Entwistle, and I know who Steve Entwistle is, of course, and what. But I never followed, kind of like in that genre enough of that style. I mean, I've played with different, more bluesy kind of rock players, But man, I want to say something about your playing. So I knew jack shit about what you do because because of where I've come, my journey as a drummer musician, and I was listening to the sound that you get out of the snare drum, and not only do you have great technique, but there are drummers who have great technique, but there's no soul or feel in what they're doing, and everything you do, I've noticed you've been doing it from like soulfulish, like it's got swing, So
well, thank you. I thank you. It's always humbling to have another pro value your work. I mean, it'll happen. It happens, and for me, the snare drum. That was where the whole sound started from. I mean, that was that's for me. That was where I felt the voice was coming from.
But it's rare that drummers that with your style that you've perfected have that snare cranked up like how like Stuart Copeland. It's kind of like I come from the R&B funk world, so I'm really good friends with Steve Jordan.
Oh, Steve. Bravo. Remember me to Steve, please. I know him and Charlie Drayton pretty well from
Charlie and Bernie and his wife. They're all really good friends of mine. So
please say hello for me from China Club. Yeah, you must know.
I don't know Carmine Rojas. I just know those. I know Charlie and Steve and Will because I grew up in that scene in 7th Avenue South back as a 19 years old. Yeah, I got to play with the Brecker Brothers on Dizzy Gillespie's album, and but getting back to you, I'm talking about you here.
All right, come on, bring it.
So what I'm hearing you drumming, from even back. It's rare to hear drummers playing the double bass drum kit and that style of kind of like going towards the metalish with. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but you just had that snare drum cracking, popping, which is what I love aside, with all the things you were doing underneath with your solos and all the slick patterns, but that snare drum just like really killing, really cool stuff.
I tell you, let's have the snare drum talk then, because my first drums were Slingerland, and not probably the highest end stuff, a couple of kits, and I bought a kit. Whatever, mid 60s. Yeah. After that, the next kit that I had was fiberglass.
Yeah, five.
Chrome and fiberglass. And that snare drum, 6.5 by 14, I just used to use an ambassador on the top and a diplomat on the bottom. So real light, thin on the bottom. Ambassador on the top, cranked to death, and a 24 strand duplex, the wide snares. And that was how that sound started. Then I found out about a guy named Fred Hinger who was making snare drums, orchestra snare drums. And they're made out of something called phenolic, which is like circuit board. And I said, right. I got to get one of those. And this thing was so delicate. He machined the throw-off assembly out of a single piece of aircraft aluminum. It was a ridiculous, I still have it, obviously, ridiculous, just precision drum. and the snares on it were coated wires, they called it aircraft cable. It looked like gold wire, like it was sealed with gold plastic.
Right.
And it made this real orchestral snare drum sound. Man, I ripped this thing apart, changed the heads, put on and that's that sound. I'm always going for the sound of
You
that.
still have that drum?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
I know what drum you're talking about. I unfortunately don't have any of the drums I first got when I'm one of those people, I just didn't use my brain, my head. I admire people like yourself that have vintage. I have a really good friend drummer in Florida. He collects, him and his dad, who was a drummer, collect all vintage Slingerland and Ludwig stuff, so, but that's pretty cool that you still have it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I still have it because it's just part of my arsenal. If I need that thing and I need to go there, I have other snare drums as well. But I have a question for you.
Yes,
I
sir.
saw a picture of you playing a D drum kit. Am I
Yeah,
right?
so the question, I saw you playing that same kit, that same finish. I had that same finish. That
The
drum.
Galaxy Black?
No, I had the coral kind of orangey.
Yes, that was. I'll bet that was your kit. That was
At NAMM?
when I went up to play at. Oh, come on! We were just talking about it. The
The
Hideaway.
Hideaway. Yeah.
I called the guys at D Drum and said, is there a set so I don't have to drag my kit all the way up here?
Right.
Yeah.
And they said, we have this beautiful kit, one of a kind, blah blah blah, new finish. So you have that kit?
I have that kit, but physically it's in Puerto Rico. In case I go to I go to do stuff to like jazz festivals in Puerto Rico and stuff. And my cousin's son has the kit. He's a drummer, and so he has the kit there. So whenever I go over there, like I was just there unfortunately I was there to bury my grandmother, but I was going to do something while I was there, but it just didn't work out. But my kit is there. I have that kit in Puerto Rico.
I think it's the same kit. If you have that, because I remember Felix telling me that he was going to bring over a kit, and he was all bragging on the finish, one of a kind.
Yeah, it was a beautiful finish.
Though that's your kit, then. I mean, is that the sizes?
Was it a 22 by 14 kick? You remember?
It might have been.
Yeah, it was.
I know it was a 22.
I liked it because it was 22 by 14, like the old school, and it had some punch to it, even as a 14. And then the toms were 10, 12, 14, 16. I forget what else. Yeah, I have I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But I saw that kid. I went, oh, he's got the same kit I had when I was with D Drum.
I'm telling you, if you looked at that kit and spotted that, I would bet dollars to donuts that's your.
Yes. That's cool, man. Well,
so how weird is that? I mean, how cool? That's amazing.
I was with D Drum briefly. I did a video for them, and they took care of me, and then I just I had to go another route. So
that's cool. Where did you wind up?
Just with no one.
Oh, okay. I get that.
I'm back
to
playing.
To go there.
No, I was with Yamaha for like 12, 13 years when I was younger. And then I stopped playing Yamaha. I was doing, remember Smith Custom?
Sure.
I forget Joe Morawski. I did Joe Bonamassa's first record and first tour. So they designed, I wanted a Mitch Mitchell Silver Sparkle replica kit. So Joe Morawski built that kit for me, and I ended up selling it to the drummer that replaced me because Bonamassa fired the band without telling anybody. So they had my kit, and Bonamassa tried to keep my drums. And I was like, no, dude, those aren't your drums. And then the drummer that was playing at the time, Kenny something from Long Island, uh, he called me personally, hey, I really like those drums. Are you interested in selling them? I said, well, call Joe Morawski. If he makes me another drum set, tell him you can have them. Yeah. So he sold them. Joe Morawski sold them to him because he wasn't an endorsee. I was endorsing them. They made me a new kit. So I've jumped around. I don't
Yeah.
care. Drums are drums. I've got Will Calhoun who's my best friend. He and I just sold in the last 3 years, 4 years. We've sold like 10 drum sets.
Wow. Of your own, you mean?
Yeah, of our own. His Mapex. He's with Gretsch now, so he's just playing Gretsch. And I went back to Yamaha's, but I bought him.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. A friend of mine, I'm sure you know Steve Ferroni, been playing Gretsch forever. He played.
Yeah.
I mean, he with
Yep.
Tom Petty and Clapton and so on and so forth.
I don't know him personally, but he's a great. I love
He's a
him.
monster, and and that it seems to me because you remember when we were kids, and it would you were a Ludwig guy, you're a Slingerland guy, you're a Rogers guy.
Yep.
Did you have the Dynasonic? I mean, and I was never into any of that. What I had worked for me. And talking about John Entwistle, John Entwistle had 300 basses, and if you said to him, "What's your favorite bass?" he'd say, "The one I'm playing tonight."
Yeah.
You know what? If as long as you have the kit, and I'm not preaching about it. I just happen to have the stuff. I haven't really had. I've blossomed kits. I had a Grover Pro Percussion kit, custom made out of graphite, which is what I used the black set. If you ever see the black set playing with Entwistle, all those shells and everything.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that kit you were playing.
Yeah, that's all graphite, and that's again, that's me going for that piercing sound. And that was the first kit. I used a Fibes kit forever with concert toms, all melodic toms, no bottom heads.
Yeah.
And so I got used to that high impact percussion sound, and that's what it was, man.
I hear you, man. And so I just decided to, a lot of these companies now, they've dropped a lot of artists. I got dropped. I was with Zildjian for 30 years, and I got dropped about 5 years ago. But it's just, hey, listen, if you're not doing a high profile gig, I'm working and I'm playing with great people. But if you're not exposing their gear, I was never an A guy. I always say I'm like a minor league guy. And when they need somebody, a pitcher to come up and relieve a major league pitcher, I'm the guy that they call to come in at the last minute that can get it done. But Zildjian treated me great all those years. Even when they released me, they said, "Hey, you can come up for a last, kind of like a farewell." I was like, "Great." And then I was with LP for 30 years, and all those companies started merging, and they're like, "Oh, let's drop this guy, let's drop that." So I'm not ashamed of it. I have enough equipment. I have what I need.
Ashamed of.
I have what I need. I have my gear. So I went back to Yamaha. I promised myself I would never play Yamaha again because, when I was touring with Spyro Gyra in '91, and I was with Yamaha at the time, and may he rest in peace, the guy that was the A&R guy, Steve. I forgot Steve's last name. He was married to Kathy from Regal Tip.
Regal.
From the drumstick, Regal Tip.
Believe me, I know. I have a picture of me with boxes of 5B nylon tip. I love those sticks.
Who plays Regal Tips now? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, I used to deal with Hagi in Japan, and so I used to get all my stuff direct. Like I would just call them, or email, whatever. And what do you need? And they take care of me. And then when the U.S. got involved with the American artists, drummers, again, I was never an A guy. I'm not Steve Gadd. I'm not Steve Jordan. I'm not those guys. Even though I was in the magazines for Yamaha underneath Steve Jordan, ironically, and but they kind of treated me kind of, I was with Spyro Gyra, who's still a well renowned
Believe
instrument,
me.
and I was touring with them for a year, and I needed some power toms. And so the A&R guy, we were playing the Monterey Jazz Festival in California, and I said, "Hey, Steve, you think I could get some? I need some toms for this bass drum, some power toms." And he was so insulting to me at the time, like, "Well, how long do you think you'll be with Spyro Gyra?" I was like, "What?" Like, there was a contract. It was just a year for me. That was understood. So, and I think he knew that. So
That's man. That's the bad side of
so
things.
that's when I went, boom. I don't need this kind of service. So I had drums. Like, I don't need drums. And now you have drums, and they get backline all the time. So
Right.
I can get what I need. When I play. And I did Lincoln Center last 2 Fridays ago with Felicia Collins, is the guitarist from the David Letterman show, Paul Schaefer.
Yeah, sure.
I did a show 2 Fridays ago, before I found out my grandmother passed away the next day, and they had my exact kit, my sizes: 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 20 by 20, 20 by 18 kick, and and I was happy. I was like, wow, they have my drums.
I mean, man, let me tell you what. When I hear you say I played at Lincoln Center, the first thing I get a flashback back to like third, maybe fourth grade, which is considerable time ago, and we went on a field trip to that place. It was actually, we heard Leonard Bernstein conduct the fill, but I mean,
Oh, you went to that?
oh yeah,
Oh,
man.
that
And
must have
let me
been
tell you what, the sound, I can't imagine. I've never done it. I've
wow.
played a lot of places, but I've never played there. I can't imagine how great the drums sounded at sound
Well,
check.
you played other venues. It's just basically your journey is different from everybody's journey is different.
Of
I'm
course,
lucky.
that's yeah.
I'm lucky that, being from New York, we're native New Yorkers, right? Even though I was
We
born in the
are.
South Bronx, I was born in the South Bronx, and my parents. I was saying this before when we were starting talking. My parents came from nothing, from the island of Puerto Rico, back in the 50s. And if it weren't for my parents being smart enough to get us out of the Bronx in the early 70s, my life, I would not be sitting here talking to you.
And let me tell you what, I have known that fact about that particular journey for as long as I can remember,
Right.
because um, my mom was from the city, so I knew, I knew the stories of that. But especially Puerto Rico, and as odd as it, and believe me, I'm not demeaning a thing. I got my education about Puerto Rico from West Side Story.
Yeah, that's not the meaning, because Rita Moreno was, that's where she was from.
Well, I know, we have some people in common there, and I didn't mean to make light of it. It
Yeah.
has because I don't make light of it. I mean, if you were to ask me my least, well, I don't want to go there. The fact is that music accompanying the thread of that story, and I don't know if you've seen the new one, but it's freaking stunning, man.
Is it?
Oh God, it's
I,
there's a thing on YouTube. See now we're into this. This is what I like. There's a thing on YouTube of America, which is
right.
one of my just incredible, and both girls that are just do a great job, and they cut it. They spliced it together. The old version with Bernardo, the new version. It's just mind-boggling.
I got to check that out.
Oh, you gotta check it out. And the thing that I always knew was that Bernardo dressed a lot cooler than frickin' Tony. And
Yep, he was cooler.
it's just where I gravitated, man. It was,
That
the
that's
guy
funny.
was like so slick. And
Yeah.
that made as heavy an impression on my musical journey as anything in the world. I love anything Latin. Latin percussion. I'm such a big Gloria Estefan fan. I mean, I go to any time I hear salsa or just it's because that's the way I play. Only I do it in a rock format.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. You got that. You have that popping on the snare drum. That's already like a timbal pitch. You know, that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, holy shit, man, this guy's like got that fucking sound that I love on the snare drum. It's not that deep. You know, we know about the deep, you know, 8
Yeah, the rock snare
14
drum
by
with the
8, the
wallet.
rock
Yeah.
with the, you know, it sounds like a cannon. But I prefer you know, I prefer that machine gun sound more than a cannon.
Well, if you know, listen, if you're a guy that's being hired or otherwise employed to lay down the pocket, that's probably not the snare drum to use. You know what I mean? Because it's bang, bang,
Yeah, yeah.
bang. You know, but when I mean, I play the thing. I play all over it, and I developed that whole snare drum thing because I love the way it sounds, and I love the way the sticks feel when you know, because it's so tight, but yet it projects. Because if you know, I wallop that sucker. It's not like you know, I'm not playing jazz with it. So it's a hybrid
Right.
of my very favorite, you know, Latin fills and licks and all
Yeah.
the rhythms and because don't forget when I was coming up in the 60s, you couldn't tell who was playing what. I didn't know what a percussionist was. I thought the
Yeah.
drummer was doing it all. And I tried to figure out ways to do it when we were playing that type of song. And
Right.
it just found its way into my... Well, but thank you, man. You know,
Yeah.
you know, that's cool.
That's awesome. I was saying before that if it wasn't for my parents moving to Mount Vernon, um, I started getting exposed to. I really started getting exposed to music. Um, you know, and if you see in my resume, the very first few lines it talks about, you know, culturally, you know, based rhythms. I got introduced when I lived in Mount Vernon to Tower of Power, Weather Report, Earth, Wind and Fire, and Herbie Hancock, and you know, and all those genres. Just like it was something that I would not have been exposed to. It would have been a different journey. So fast forward, I just fell in love with R&B music, and I was studying percussion in Spanish Harlem. I was studying timbales with the great Nicky Marrero, who was from a group called the Fania All Stars. So yeah, if you get a chance, the Fania All Stars were like the Philharmonic of salsa. And so I studied with this guy when I was 13, but I just love playing drum set. You know, I love listening to Roy Orbison, Pretty Woman, the drums. I love listening to Down on the Corner by that wasn't Grand Funk Railroad, that was Down on the Corner.
Clearwater? Creedence?
Yeah.
Is that Creedence Clearwater?
Yeah, I think so.
And you know, so anyway, I gravitated more to the pop kind of, you know, pop thing. I loved it. And so when we moved to Mount Vernon, I started playing more like R&B stuff, and I met Ralph McDonald, who was with he recorded all those records with Steve Gadd and Richard T. They were part of that rhythm section that did the Paul Simon stuff, blah blah blah. And he was producing, and he was living in Mount Vernon, right? So I was riding my bicycle one day. I was like in high school. I was 16 years old. I knew who he was. And I used to ride by his house hoping I would see him. And one day I saw him. I was 18. I was a senior in high school, and it was a summer afternoon. And I saw him outside, and I just stopped and started talking. I told him I was an aspiring drummer, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward, I find myself in 1980 getting a call from Roberta Flack because I was in his studio at the age of 20. Somebody recommended me to do some demos. So my best friend and I, guitarist Philip Hamilton, We still play together this day. He was from Mount Vernon. We went and recorded these tracks. You know, we're 19, 20 years old. We didn't get paid. We just said, yeah, I'll come and play. And it was Ralph McDonald's studio. So the point I'm trying to make is that journey for me, like being in that place, kind of kept me in the direction that I was, that I was liking, musically. I was just really digging the R&B pop music. And I ended up playing with Roberta Flack at Carnegie Hall that same year because of my connection with Ralph, and being from New York, I was just the same with yourself. You probably played the Westbury Music Theater.
Sure.
You probably played the Garden. Did you play the Garden with Entwistle?
No, but but I did play. I played with Mountain for a while too, and we did.
Whoa, wait. So I
Oh.
played with Leslie. I played with Leslie West on the Joe Bonamassa record.
Oh, okay.
And
We got history.
he overdubbed on the track, and I was touring with Bonamassa, and we were on the road, and we played the Mercury Lounge in New York City, and then the next day, this is back in 2000. The next day, we were at the Roseland Ballroom because while we were on the road with Dr. John and Average White Band and the band from Ian Anderson's band.
Oh, Jethro
Tull.
Tull.
Jethro Tull. Woody, the bass player from the Allman Brothers, had died.
Right. I remember that.
We had the same booking agent from Chicago, and we ended up covering the gigs for Government Mule that they couldn't do. So they did this big memorial at Roseland. And so I'm getting to Leslie West, and I'm backstage with like the fucking Black Crowes and one of my favorite bands, and I'm walking by it, and J-Mo always used to ask me to sit in with the Allman Brothers. So we're standing there, and J-Mo's like totally fucked up from smoking weed, and he goes, "Hey, I want you to meet somebody," and then it was Leslie West, and he goes, and I go. He goes, "Who's this young kid?" And I'm like, and I wasn't, I'm 62 now, so I look younger. So this was 20 years ago. So he thought I was just some, and he goes, and J-Mo goes, "Tell me who you played with." I said, I'm touring with Joe Bonamassa, and then I said, "And you're playing on that record?" He goes, "What do you play?" I said, "I'm a drummer. I'm the drummer on that record." He just gave me a big hug, So that was my meeting. Leslie West.
Well, that's a good meeting.
Yeah, that was an excellent meeting because, I mean, I first of all, I love Leslie to this day. I mean, rest in peace. We stayed friends over the years. I mean, I started playing with Leslie in the '80s, and I went. I mean, that story is way too long to tell, but. We were just talking about it the other night. We were in England we were touring, Randy Coven was playing bass, and we were doing a tour of England, and I called up John Entwistle, and I said, "Listen, I'm in town with Leslie, can we come by?" And he said, "Sure, come on by." And we go over to Entwistle's house, right? And Entwistle is showing Leslie around. I was going to tell the story the other night. And John's got every eccentric thing you could buy with way too much.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it's like a museum a comedy museum of horrors and rock and roll.
That was in his mansion, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, where the kids were all right with the gold records and the whole thing. Anyway, so he walks Leslie through the whole house. We go all the way up to the third floor, which is where the guitar collection is. Right? He's got plank basses and just ridiculous shit. So we go through the whole thing, and I said, "Look, we're gonna head off to the gig," and he said, "We'll follow you." We were playing the Shepherd's Bush Empire. And so I said, all right, and I had to travel with the band, right? So I get in there, and I get in the car, and he goes, "Steve, did you see that?" I said, I lived there pretty much, Leslie. And he goes, "And he's just a fucking bass player." Just the bass player. Well, yeah. So, yeah, man.
Gus.
Okay,
Funny.
take a commercial
That's
break
funny.
and ask the question.
My producer and wife
Yeah.
this one I really listen to. That's Lori,
Hi.
Tony.
Hi,
She's telling
Lori.
me that I need to do a commercial to, but let me make sure because first of all we have to do this. I mean, when I
Yeah.
get with another drummer, it's just
It's
you know.
cool. Whatever you got to do, man. I'm here.
Oh yeah, no, I'll play no. I'll play the commercial. That's like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And then did Angus send you the questions?
He did, but I said to Angus, I said, I'll just roll with it, because when I saw the first question about your favorite restaurant, I was like, shit, man, I've been all over the world, but let's bring it down, let's minimize it to favorite restaurants here in New York. I mean, it's mostly, my spot right now is in Pelham. It's Pelham Pizzeria Restaurant, where I know these guys. They cook good there.
Well, let's not do that yet, though. I just wanted to make sure that he gave it.
Oh,
'Cause
Yeah, we're
that's
doing
like
commercial first.
that's my way, that's my James Lipton actor studio kind of, my professional. Because it's really not an interview, man. It's
yeah.
it's
No,
just
we're
you
just
guys,
we're just chatting, man. I love it. It's not like a formal interview. I did a formal interview 3 weeks ago with the band that but not my band, but the band I've been a part of since 1981. We just did a new record, and produced by Grammy producer Louis Vega. This is this is that R&B house music, pop thing where I've done a lot of work, but I jump around. I'm like a
It's
chameleon.
man. First of all, it's your band. I don't give a shit what anybody says. If your
Yeah.
heart is in it, it's your band. You may not,
Yeah.
whatever that means to the periphery. I feel you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: do you know Booker King?
I know who he is, the bass player, right?
Yeah, because he's all right. So the reason that I asked you about the questions is I want to make sure that we have you indoctrinated into this club properly because you're not. You don't get out now. See, this is it.
Good.
The answers to the questions are tattooed on the back of your neck, which if I hope we have room, and what we do on Friday nights is we have Free for All Friday. And last Friday, which is it's the same key to get into the room as ever, and
Yeah.
last Friday we had a guy who's gigging in Costa Rica, another guy. Do you remember the Good Rats?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Okay, Lenny Kotke, the bass player,
Okay.
he lives in Antigua now. He was on. Booker
Okay.
is on 90% of the time. It's just
That's great.
there'll be so many people there that you know. So
Yep.
you have an open door invitation.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh,
Man.
man.
And Jeff Seitz, who is
Yeah.
Stuart Copeland's
Yeah, Jeff
roadie,
Seitz.
he's on every Friday.
He works. He worked with the police for the past 41
40
years and
years,
still
yeah.
works with Stewart.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So
great.
talk about snare drums, man. We got snare drums to talk about on Fridays.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So do you got to do the commercial now?
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
just
let's do
yeah,
that.
and I'll meet you back here in a second.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, here it comes.
Oh, I like that shirt.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. That's it's it's one of the wonderful things that our business allows me to do.
Excellent.
I've been an artist, a visual artist, not in the traditional sense, but I've created art as long as I've created music.
That's great, man.
I enjoy. So we, and one thing led to another, and I wound up doing a shirt line, and we can get into it.
But I was just saying, wait a minute. I was just like, man, that's a nice looking shirt. You're designing the shirt? You designed the shirt?
Yeah. In fact, you know who has one? Will has one. Will Lee has one.
Mark Rivera has all 10 of them.
Mark Rivera.
Wait a minute. How can I purchase one and wear it for the Hollywood All Stars show?
Steve Gaspar has one.
The same one as Steve.
Yeah, he has Mark.
Oh, I can't wear the same one Steve wears.
No, listen.
No, you can't wear the same one. You know what? Give him your.
I'm going to get all the contact
Yes.
details from Angus. I'm gonna hit you.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
we'll take care of you. No,
Yep.
you're good to
I'm
go.
a shirt guy.
Oh.
You are
I'm a
gonna
total.
man. Wow.
I'm a total shirt. I was saying that while the commercial was going. I said, "Damn, that's a nice shirt."
I heard you say it.
Yeah.
Oh, you
most-
heard me?
Yeah,
I'm talking to myself. I'm thinking you couldn't hear me.
I just put this out. You know what? Nah, I'm not gonna. We'll get. Whatever you need, man.
Steve, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you further away now. I'm not hearing you like I was hearing you before.
This
Because
microphone
my
was off.
producer's microphone is on and mine was not.
Right.
Simple. All right. Anyway.
Oh wait,
okay.
wait. Now, one of our viewers wants to know if you're related to George Cintron.
You know, I'm not. I've gotten that for the last 45 years.
Okay.
Everybody thinks I'm related to the Centron Rock guys. I wish I were, you know, because there's very few Centrons that are known musicians, you know. And so when they said that, I was like, man, I said to my brother's a musician. I said, David, I think we might have some relatives in New Jersey. Where are they from, Jersey?
No, Long Island, George. I mean, he's a great friend, huge Rat Race fan, a monster guitar player.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never met him. I know him because, you know, I know who he is. I know who they are, the band Centron, you know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're not related, which would have been cool.
Well, you know, listen, it's
because then maybe I would have been playing more rock and roll when I was younger. Because I so regret not studying Bonham instead of studying some of the other drummers like that I studied that really didn't have a whole lot to do with, you know, my journey now. But you know, yeah. So, who played drums with Centron? Was it a brother also?
Who was? I don't remember who played drums with them.
Did you ever play with George?
I've played with him over the years. Yeah, I've had him on the show, George. I mean, he's an old friend from back in the day. He used to come. They used to open for Rat Race, and yeah, he was always phenomenal.
Now he's playing with the Windborne Symphony.
Yeah, now he does
Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin with an orchestra, and with Randy Jackson from Zebra sings the.
Oh, cool.
It's a whole big. You know, he's taken that rock thing and just run with it. He's you know, he's doing okay, George.
How long have you been in Florida?
18 years next month.
Where are you in Florida?
On the West Coast in Fort Myers.
Oh, you're in Fort Myers?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just in West Palm Beach 4 weeks ago playing a private show. Opening up.
That's across the alley.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, listen, I can't wait to hear the Hollywood All-Stars. I got to tell you, I really wish I had devoted more of the convetion to this, but...
well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
What are you playing with?
Go ahead. Yeah. Tell me, man, because when I heard that track, I was like, oh, because, you know, I know Crispin and Arno and, you know, I one way or another, and now I know Tony. So, you know.
It's so this is my first time working with them, and I'm just kind of like, so I've been back 3 years, and I ended up staying here, and I was in Dubai 3 years ago.
Wow.
Performing, and I took a month off to come and see my mother and my family up here. So I bought a new car in Florida, in Clearwater, and I said, let me drive up and surprise my mom about. Long story short, came up here. My mom found out she had pre-stages of dementia. So I stayed here, and I was like, I have to leave everything in Florida and just move back here, which I never planned on doing. I wanted to stay in Florida, and it was like starting over again, coming back here. Even though I know people, and I made a name for myself, and you know, over the years. Once you're gone, you know, out of sight, out of mind, right? Yeah. I have to start reconnecting. So let's go to Steve Gasper. I knew about Steve, but I know Andy Abel really well. Great guitarist.
Yeah, I know Andy.
I knew about Scott Spree, you know, playing with was it Edgar Winter or Jonathan Winter?
Edgar, I think.
And you know, Crispin, the sax part. Yeah, and I knew about all these musicians, but I never really did much. So thanks to Lee Finkelstein, drummer. Lee has been helping me a lot with, like, when he can't do anything, first person he recommends is me. And so I went to see the Hollywood All-Stars last year. First time I'm seeing the band, great band. I know Tommy Bowes, the singer. They used to sing with Tower of Power, blah blah blah. And I was just hanging out, and Steve and I met for the first time. We knew about each other, and so that connection through Lee, and and then when they were doing the album, he wanted to record "Living in America," and Lee couldn't do it, so they were like, "Call Tony, call Tony." So I'm kind of in, and I'm doing the show now because Lee couldn't do the show. So it's a great opportunity for me to play with these guys. And Steve has a really, I respect how he works. He's the kind of musician and leader that I like to work with, because the first thing I said to him was, "Do you have charts for all these songs?" He goes, "No, you got to learn this shit. You got to memorize it." And I know a lot of this stuff already, but I was like, okay, I'm good with that. I'm not coming in just because I'm doing one show, but you never know what can happen in the future, right? So, but it's Lee's gig, and I'm glad that at least I've been considered in case he can't do it, that I'm a backup, and so it's a great opportunity. And I've never played the Palace Theater in Waterbury, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh man, that's good.
Will Lee, I know Will since like 1980, and I played with him back in the 80s on several occasions. Nothing high end, but I did a recording for George Benson with him.
Oh.
So we know each other. And now it's been a while. And when I saw Will 3 years ago, I ran into him and Charlie Drayton in Manhattan.
Sure.
And I was in town doing a recording, and then I was going to Romania to do a jazz festival. And Will was like, "Where are you living?" I'm like, "I'm living in Florida." He goes, "What the hell are you doing in Florida?" I said, "Well, I'm not doing the kind of gigs that you're doing up here, so I had to leave. I had to go to where the work was, and I that's exactly why I moved to Florida. I was working like crazy in Florida." So
yeah, man. I mean, well, you know what? Here's how I look at that whole thing. You go where the work takes you, but the reason the work takes you there is because you can do it. Nobody wants to wait a minute. As far as the Hollywood All-Stars and Lee, which that's a gracious, understanding guy who's sharing his chair with you. I don't look at it like one guy is a sub and one guy is the lead. The guy is the lead is the guy who's playing tonight. I really think the whole landscape of the musical experience has changed over, especially over the past couple of years, because man, you have to. It's not backup anymore. It's an alternate. You know what I mean? Roger Maris isn't hitting every day. Yeah, it's just
right.
It's just the way it is, man. And the fact that you work and your resume reads like the wall at the Hall of Fame, that says more than anything, because there's a movie. God, can I remember the name of this movie? Jacqueline Bisset and Candice Bergen, and it's called Rich and Famous. Okay, and this is the way I look at every one of us. And the thing is, Jacqueline Bisset is a writer, and she's an incredible writer, like studied, schooled, the whole 9 yards. Candice Bergen is a housewife who writes a children's book, and all of a sudden blasts into this publishing empire. So it's about the conflict between the pro and the lucky break, person. And at the end of the movie, they go through all the tragedy and the whole thing. And at the end of the movie, Jacqueline Bisset says to her, "But you're rich." She's complaining. They're complaining back and forth, arguing. She says, "But you're rich and famous." And Candice Bergen says to her, "But you're just famous. That's so much harder."
Yep. I get it.
Yeah.
Respect, my friend, respect.
Yeah, absolutely. That I definitely, like I said, I've worked hard, to stay in this business.
I know you.
And not be stuck in the past. But getting back to the Hollywood All-Stars, I'm really looking forward, because I never, like I said, the first time I knew about them, I saw them last, and I got to meet Steve. So it worked out, and here I am. The doing Living in America was really great. Professionals, Andy Abel and Steve, and
The
It's
Uptown Horns. I mean, those guys played
oh
on
yeah,
the track.
yeah.
Well, guess I mean, it's well. Listen, I tell you what, we're gonna waffle all night. I'm gonna jump onto the questions. So the tattoo person is right out in the hallway.
Okay.
Here, and the thing about, let me tell
I
you.
got them all here.
Okay, you're good. So we can, we'll find a bit of space and we'll put 'em.
Fun space.
The whole idea, but behind the what's your favorite restaurant on the road question is, I like all kinds of food, and like you, I've been all over the world and I've eaten every kind of thing in the world. But there's one place out in the world that if I was to go there, I would be like, oh, that means I can eat at.
Yeah.
So that's the
Like
vibe.
San
That's
Antonio,
like
Rudy's worst barbecue.
your favorite barbecue could be in Puerto Rico, could be in Dubai. I have a question about Dubai.
Wow. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Did you by any chance see a Formula One race when you were there?
No, I didn't. I did not see a Formula One race. I know about. I heard it's unbelievable there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I sidetracked. But that's what I'm going for. So, but any restaurant that makes that gives you a chill, and I'm with it.
Any restaurant, pick any like internationally.
Anyway, like if I told you we were playing a gig in Israel and you couldn't wait to eat at Pafi's Pop-Offs, so any place. Some place that just stood out in your mind. Could be barbecue, could be fine Paris cuisine, could be anything.
Well, I really don't have, like I said, I don't have a favorite restaurant like that in mind. Anytime I go anywhere, I eat. I just have to go to a really, really good Italian. One of my favorite restaurants here in New York is Lamonda's in right there. The Italian, family owned, almost hole in the wall type of place. Lamonda's?
I don't know Lamonda's, but I know. I mean, is
know
that in Little Italy?
Umberto's.
I know Umberto's, but
And
which is
Luna.
closed, and Luna, and and Cafe de Lot Midtown. If you haven't been there,
Mm-hmm.
their pizza, for a Midtown
Yeah, their
snooty
pizza's like-
Italian place, it's
very
ridiculously expensive. But their Italian food it's the only upscale, snooty kind of restaurant.
Yeah.
That gets down to the home, the
Right.
home base, the home cooking. It's
Where is that?
unbelievable. It's called Cafe de Lot. It's Midtown. It got to be 50. It's near
It's by Carnegie Hall.
yeah, it's right by Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind. I'm an Italian food guy mostly.
Oh,
Okay.
man,
Well, so what is
you
the
will
place you
you'll
said
freak.
before in Pelham?
So yeah, what was the place in Pelham?
This just, it's not just a pizzeria. It's a restaurant. Also, it's called Pelham Pizzeria. It's
Pelham
on
Pizzeria.
Okay.
Wolf's Lane in Pelham. Been
Got
going
it.
there for 30 years. Every time I came off the road from a tour, I drop my bags off at home and go straight there to go eat. That's my spot, really. It's not the Four Seasons. It's not,
No.
Giovanni's in Little Italy. I really don't. I'm sorry that, I don't, because
That's okay. Believe me, it's just
We've had people say Waffle House.
we've had people say Waffle House. So it doesn't
Okay, on the road.
Wawa.
On the road.
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel.
Oh, that's what I'm looking
Yes.
for. That's what I'm
Yes.
looking for. Cracker
That
Barrel.
was John Entwistle's favorite.
That was Entwistle. Let me tell you this.
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
The big round table that's always in
Yeah.
the same place. I can't tell you. We did like the Cracker Barrel tour. Once Entwistle found out all the junk that you could buy in the store, the talking parrots and the frickin' fish and the glowing whatever the hell it is, and then he fell in love with the meatloaf. That
Yep,
was
that
it.
was it.
The minute anybody on the bus said, "I'm hungry," Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, because I didn't want to go to McDonald's or Burger King, so
Right.
I wanted to do Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
Good answer.
Now we're in
Right.
it. Now we're in it. All
Okay.
right.
So I got my first tattoo.
That was the first tattoo, Cracker Barrel. Yep, that's it. Okay. Set list comes out, and there it is. Your favorite song to play live, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter with who. When you're playing that song, that's like, that's it.
Man, the only thing I can think of, and I'm thinking in the last and I haven't played it, of course, but I'm getting ready to do. I'm put a project together to play, and I'm gonna have Corey Glover singing in the band.
Oh.
But I loved playing Cradle Rock. which was a Rory Gallagher original that Joe Bonamassa we redid
Wow.
with Tom Dowd.
Well, did you know it from Rory or did you pick it up from Joe?
No, I picked it up from Joe. So I had never heard the Rory Gallagher version, and I really didn't want to hear it because what we did was nothing. It wasn't too far from it, but it was totally different. It was very, it
Yeah,
was heavier backbeat and just more driving for a trio. You know, power. You know about power trios.
I very well know
We
about
had to
that.
sound like five guys, and I was able to get to that point. You know, Joe Bonamassa's gig was my first like kind of rock blues.
Oh,
People
wow.
didn't think I could play that music because I was doing all this R&B stuff and records, you know. And I got the opportunity from one of the Allman Brothers, who I grew up with, Mark Quinones, was my best. You know, we grew up together, and he had recommended me to Tom Dowd to do Bonamassa's record. And I forgot where I was going with that. What were we talking about?
We were talking about your favorite song to play live.
Cradle Rock.
Done.
Yeah.
Cradle Rock.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, now the set list comes out. Not so happy to see this song. It doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where, doesn't matter with who, but if I never have to play this song again, what's that song?
Oh man, there's a lot. There are a lot, man. So it doesn't matter the genre.
No.
Oh man, whenever I go sit in with a band, especially if it's an R&B, you know, it's an R&B jam session kind of thing, and they, okay, wrong. Anytime I go sit in with bands, and they hear my name like it's a, you know, oh, is he Italian or Latino? And then I go sit in and they go, hey, so how about if we play Oye Como Va? I'm like, what the hell no. I hate playing Oye Como Va. But I always get it, like, I feel like just because I'm a Latino,
Oh,
man. We can play something else. Yeah, Oye Como Va is like my least favorite to play. Even now, I play with Borboleto, is a Santana tribute band, but I play percussion. I do the whole percussion setup thing like Santana because it's a Santana tribute. But we're playing at the Levitt Pavilion, by the way, in July. But you're in Florida.
That's all right. You'll get down here, and we still want to let the fans know where they can see you play. Yeah, we got people up there all over. We want to send them.
I even hate playing it with them. I just hate playing that song.
But anyway, that's funny,
what's the name of that band? So
Borboleta, which is the name of a song that
Borboleta.
Borboleta.
She's got it.
Okay.
I mean, that's so funny about that. I'll tell you. First of all, I hate the stereotyping shit in the first place. But I don't know if you know. Do you know Wild Cherry? You remember the band Wild Cherry?
Yeah, I remember Wild Cherry. Of course.
Okay. I had Brian Bassett, the guitar player, on the show.
Okay.
And I didn't know anything about Wild Cherry. I remember the song, right? I mean, huge song, and it was great. Those guys, I was talking to him about it. I said, how did that song happen? He said, well, we were playing someplace and we weren't playing the right. They were in a fusion band. He said, somebody came up and said, you better play some funky music, white boy. And that's how they wrote the song. Because there's no black people in that band. It's all white guys.
Well, thank God for that insult.
Yeah.
It's just, man, really, right?
I'll take it.
You know what? The thing, I'll tell you the other thing, I'm always talking about our business. You know, I believe, and I'm sure that there are exceptions to every rule, but I grew up being colorblind because of the people that I played with and the people that I worked with, and to me, especially to have any kind of Latin roots, for me, that's like blood right, man. I mean, I'm not just, it's all. It's it's a mess.
It happens, man. I'll go to a jam session and it'll be like, so what do you want to play? I'm like, anything. I go, how about Oye Como Va? I'm like, no. Man. I'm not a Latin drummer. I'm a drummer. I can play rock, I can play blues, let's play a Stevie Ray Vaughan tune and play a shuffle.
There you go. That's listen. I'll
Now,
tell you
but
what.
Steve loves to play Gloria
Yeah, I
Estefan.
mean, if somebody asked me to play conga or anything
Oh,
like
man,
that,
we
I'd
go
be like,
crazy.
yes,
You
yes.
like that?
Oh, he
Oh
loves that.
shit! I saw her at the Garden. Some man, I'm telling you,
I'm just
I,
laughing.
I, oh, I
That,
love that shit. Emilio and the sound
yeah,
machine, just
yeah.
oh god,
Oh,
yeah.
you would have loved seeing me play with when I played the Garden twice with Ricky Martin. Because
Oh,
we had her percussionist in the band. Danny Lopez was
oh,
Gloria Stefan. Well,
he's amazing.
he was my roommate on half the time on the road with Ricky Martin, and we played some Latin shit, man. But let me tell you, you have more questions. Go with your questions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. If you all right, you are a drummer, percussionist, no question about it. You beat things with a stick, and I think that's one of the most noble things you can do in this world. But if you couldn't be a drummer and you could shred, I mean, absolutely rip at any other instrument in the world, glockenspiel, whatever, what would it be?
Hold on.
Uh oh. There's your sticks.
Huh?
This instrument right here.
Oh,
This
P-bass,
Fender,
blonde
Fender,
neck.
this Fender P bass.
Yeah.
I love bass. You know, I don't know if I could rip. Would ever want to rip on an instrument like this. I love this. This guitar was my first instrument, but I didn't want to learn how to read music and play scales. So I kept with the drums. But this instrument, I have two basses. I got a Fender Jazz and I got this P bass.
Those
And
are
I
the
just
ones
sit
to
home
have.
and I learn songs. I listen a lot to Boz Scaggs and those kind of grooves. Neil Stubbenhaus, the Chuck Rainey stuff.
Yeah,
It helps me with my drumming. Obviously, we know that when we play
no question.
the bass. Definitely the
Man,
bass.
yeah, that's awesome. And let me tell you what, I'll tell you tell you a couple funny anecdotal based stories. I'll give you the last question and then dinner's on. Okay, I'm mixing a record, an Entwistle record, and John comes into the room and he says, "What's the matter? You look troubled." And I said, "Well, I can't decide if the bass is too loud or not." And he said, "Well, turn it up, then you can be sure."
That
So
sounds
you know what? It's anyway. I'll leave it at that. So he was so perfect that way. I mean, it was just he was he was remarkable. I was blessed to even know him, man.
yeah, man. You're lucky, man. You got to play with a legend, man. So
Yeah.
that's the great thing about what we do. We're not necessarily those kinds of legends, but my son. I was in a Barnes and Noble store with my son right after. This was like in 2006 or seven, around there. And my son saw me play with Joe Bonamassa when he was like 8, 9 years old, and he remembers. And we were in the store. I was looking for something, and he comes looking for me. He goes, "Hey, Dad, guess what? Maybe you're not a legend, but you've played with legends." And he opens up the book for all the legendary blues guitarists. And you know that Joe Bonamassa's in there. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was in there, and I was like, and my son just kind of like,
Well, let me tell you what. Let me tell you about legend and that whole thing. John endlessly used to say to me, "You're never really famous until you're dead." Well, you're famous now, and the other thing about that is, I only care. All right, I'm going to tell you a story that I don't often tell, but I'm sitting at the Rainbow early one night. The Rainbow on
Rainbow, yeah.
Sunset, and the two round tables that face each other. It's early. Nobody's hardly even there yet. I think we went there to get food or something, maybe a burger. And John and I are sitting at one of the tables, and Chris Squire comes over. So I've got John Entwistle on one side of me, and Chris Squire on the other side of me. And I know about the competition between those guys with the Rick thing.
Yeah.
And Entwistle leans over to Squire and he says, "This is my drummer, Steve Longo. He's the best drummer in the world." And it was like,
What?
what?
And there was
And
nobody there to
no
hear
one
it.
heard that? Can you? Oh, come on, man. I mean, come on.
That's funny.
It was like, I'm telling you, it was the funniest. It was, you know, that's a badge of honor, man.
Yeah, of
See,
course.
it's
I mean,
not it's not the fame, it's the flame. And the fact that those people could pick anybody and they picked us.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a
The
reason.
only person you got to be a legend to is the guy who wants you to play
Yeah,
with.
yeah, exactly. And it's fine that you get the compliment. Listen, I've been working with a producer named Louis Vega, who's very
Yeah, I
he's
know
one.
Louis Vega. I know
Yes,
Louis.
he just produced our band. We have two
That's okay.
singles out, and our new single is in Europe right now. It's like, and it's all over XM. It's on XM Studio 54, XM Radio, playing it. And I played live. You know, I re-recorded one of our hit records. We did a remix, but I started working with Louis Vega 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and when he first, I got recommended for a gig that he was doing. He was producing Mark Anthony before Mark Anthony
Oh,
blew up in the
sure.
Charleston thing. So we did this show, and he really was not at all feeling what I was doing back. And I did the gig. You know, everybody else was fine; they were digging it. But you know, he's a producer. He's got his ear. He's hearing something else, and he just wasn't feeling it. 15 years later, I get recommended to record on one of his first big projects with, you know, big artists on there. Again, George Benson, Eddie Palmieri, all these big Latin jazz art, and it was just, I had to do brushes, I had to do some Brazilian. I went into the studio. He goes, "All right, play me. I'm gonna play you a reference," and it was a reference keyboard bass with a melody, and I had to, you know. So cool. Fast forward now to 2016. I went to South Africa with him, and so now I'm starting to play more of his music from his band. And the more I started working with him, the more I was becoming what he calls me now, an official house recording drummer.
So
And that music is just a driving beat, right? You know,
yeah.
but you know, I'm honored that he said to me, "You're officially one of my guys." Like, because I was working hard to please him. Like, okay, what is this guy not feeling about what I'm doing? I want to know. And I had a conversation with him during SIR when we were going to go to South Africa. I said to the bass player, "He's going to call somebody else like halfway through these rehearsals. He's not feeling me again." I said, "I went through this shit with him 25 years ago." And then I spoke to him and I said, "Lou, I said, I need to know exactly what it is you're not feeling, because I'm here to please you." I said, "How about you give me a click track with all of the tracks just to make sure, you know, I'm not laying a little bit behind the beat because he wants it."
Yeah, I know.
25 and it cannot budge, you know. So we worked it out. Now he calls me all the time and he's like,
Because you cared, man. Because you
Yeah.
gave a shit about the gig. You know, it wasn't about the number. It wasn't about the chair. It was about the goal, and the goal was to do it right in the eyes of the guy who was, you know, in that position.
Yeah.
And, you know, ding. All right, ready? Last question.
All right, I got you.
And then we're going to be looking for you on Friday, man.
Oh yeah, because let me tell you,
It's-
people are commenting. I like this guy, Centron. I like this guy too. Yes, he's a great guest. Centron definitely go on Free for All Friday. So
there you
people
go.
are liking you.
And by the way, if you're gonna pull Corey along, who I've played with, and you should know, he was one of
Booker plays with him.
I know, one of three singers that we considered as a lead vocalist for the John Entwistle band.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I played with him at Bar Bat on 57th Street. The guy,
Yeah.
and Booker is, you know, Booker plays in that band. Booker
Advice.
King.
Advice.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're gonna pull Corey, might as well pull Booker too if you can, because I mean,
Yeah, I saw them like 6 months ago. They played at the Bitter End.
yeah. I mean, I'm telling. I've played with Booker virtually, sent him a track,
Oh,
sent him,
man.
and man, let me tell you what.
Book
He's
is great. He's great,
fun to
man.
play with. So, all right. Anyway, Friday night, you know,
What time do you do Friday nights, Steve?
anytime. Well,
From
it's the
7 to
same
8.
like this, 7 to 8 or 8:20 in this case. But
Okay.
no, it's you know, I was telling you, we had one guy from Antigua, one guy from and Michael, who was backstage at Madison Square Garden with Billy Joel,
Yeah.
and
We got a guy from Aruba
we
that
had-
pops in.
it's just so much fun, man.
A
You'll
lot
really
of people from Jersey.
and you know there's no rules. You come in when you can and you stay as long as you want and leave.
It's
All
all
right,
people
man.
that have been on the show
Yeah.
before.
It's funny. I mean, it's a fun, good time stories. But now,
Well, I promise you that if I can't do it this Friday, because I'm learning like 30 songs for a gig on Saturday. But if I can't do this Friday, I will definitely jump in on next Friday. Or if I can jump in for a few minutes, for
That's
15,
it.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
if you're in the middle of that, that would be if you take a 5 minute break and just dial in.
But it's
I think,
every Friday.
That's what it's every Friday, and you're welcome any Friday.
Yeah.
I
So-
appreciate it. I know that now, and I love talking, man, as you can tell. So,
Uh,
and I
yeah.
have stories. I've got plenty of stories that I'll tell you at some other time. Again, I'm not a Latin drummer. I didn't grow up playing Latin music. I stopped playing Latin music because I was hearing it in my house all the time. I wanted to play something different. Long story short, when I met Mark Quinones, we toured together for 10 years. And do you know how he got the Allman Brothers gig? Real quick. He won't say it, but I'm saying it. We were touring with Spyro Gyra together, he and I. You know who Spyro Gyra is?
Yeah, was Julio in the band then?
Yeah, Julio Fernandez, and
Say hello for me, please.
So we're playing, and we're in Florida. We're doing a tour in the South. We're playing the Jackie Gleason Theater, or I don't know where we're playing. And Butch and his wife came to the show because Butch was a big Butch loved listening to other styles of music. He wanted to go see Michael Franks. Michael Franks was opening up for us. So we do the show, and then after the show, the manager, Phil Brennan, comes over, who lives in Clearwater, and we're still good friends. Phil Brennan comes in, we're kids. I mean, kids at 30, and he comes up, he goes, "Hey, the drummer for the Allman Brothers band is here. He wants to say hello to you guys." And I was like, holy shit. I mean, I knew who the Allman Brothers were, Greg Allman and, Ramblin' Man and blah, blah, blah. And Mark Quinones goes, "Who the fuck are the Allman Brothers?" And I go, "Dude, they're like one of the most legendary Southern rock, bands in the history of this music." I said, "Greg Allman, Butch Trucks, J-Mo." Long story short, Butch comes in with his wife. "Hey, how you guys doing?" He goes, "Hey, Mark, I really like what you're doing on that percussion." He goes, "The brothers are getting back together for a tour." This is when they came out of their hiatus. They were rehearsing at SIR on 52nd Street. They had booked the whole month. They locked out a room. Butch gave Mark a card. He says, "If you're interested, come by and jam with us. We might think about using a percussionist." And I looked at him after Butch left and I said, "You better go to that fucking jam session at SIR." And guess what? He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now.
Now I'm going, Dan. Now I'm going to do. I'm going to show you 2 seconds of something just because I can,
Okay.
and just so you know I get it. Okay. Which one was
The what? The
last
sound
night?
man?
Yeah.
Oh, last night?
Yeah, last night.
What do you mean? Which one was last
From
night? Oh,
the
Dickie?
yeah.
Number 4.
Okay.
Oh, Dickie Betts?
Yeah. But you might get a
Is it
swag.
not here? It's not here. Shit, I thought it was loaded. Yeah, no, it's
But
not
we
here.
had the sound man from
Dickie Betts?
No. I played with Dickie at a show, and I actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
played with
Yeah,
Sarah.
is it on YouTube?
It might be.
I don't know. You know what, man? I'll show
It was
you.
Rick
I can find it.
Derringer.
It was Rick Derringer and Dickie. It was an amazing show at
Rick Derringer played on the album with us too, with Joe Bonamassa.
That's incredible to me. Yeah, Rick's up in Bradenton, but you knew that because you're
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
you were in Clearwater. Man, I'm sorry I missed that.
we had,
but you know what? I'll play it for you another time. It's just we're doing.
Yeah,
a
find
Yeah.
it, and send me a text or get my number from Angus.
I'll just
and
send it
me
to
a
you.
text.
I'll send it to you. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I get it. And Warren Haynes and Matt Apps we go back
Yep.
a long, long way. And
Yeah, those are great guys.
When Woody died, they did a record with all different bass players on it. If you, I think
Yeah, I know.
John Ellison was on that record.
Yeah, Phil
I
Lev.
brought him to those sessions down with the guys from Fish, I think were there. I don't know.
Probably. Yeah,
It's that's the beautiful thing about our business. It's
I
just
love
a
Warren
big family.
Haynes. Warren Haynes
Yeah.
came up. Warren Haynes came up to me at the Mercury Lounge. Him and Mark Quinones came to the show when we played with Joe Bonamassa. We were on tour. I was nervous as shit playing New York because I knew, the cats come out, right? Charlie Drake.
Yeah.
Charlie's a good friend of mine, and
I love Charlie. Charlie's an old
yeah,
friend.
and Warren Haynes and Mark came backstage after the show, and they said, "Man, you guys sounded like five guys.
Wow.
That's cool.
You know, you sounded like you had two extra guys up there playing." Because I used to have to, I have carpal tunnel,
Oh,
and I used to have to soak my hands in ice after the show from hitting so hard, because I was never playing that hard. I never had to play that hard anywhere with the kind of gigs I was doing and recordings. And I mean, I can hit hard, if required for recording or depending, but like that, playing with just the trio, about power. You know what we have to do is,
I
playing.
do. And believe me, I had that whole syndrome. Man, that's a whole nother story of tendonitis and carpal tunnel.
And he had
Yeah,
ice
yeah.
buckets. He had to duct tape his sticks.
I play with a conventional grip, right? I mean,
I know.
yeah. And my tendonitis in my left hand got so bad I couldn't do this anymore. And the
Oh.
roadies used to have to take duct tape and wrap it around my fist, and I would just play like this, just flopping around like a
Yep.
fish.
And you
Because
had
of
ice buckets.
and ice buckets, and I would have to stick the hand with the tape, and
Yeah. I was doing that with Bonamassa. I was sticking my hand in ice buckets after the
yeah,
shows.
yeah, been
But
there.
it was worth. It was worth it.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I still have it, but I've done a lot of things to help it, and
Well, I have some. I got rid of mine, and but that's also another conversation, and I'll share those things with you because I did some amazing stuff over the years. It was horrifying for me. And
Yeah.
it's one thing that in my left hand I can switch over and play match grip, but in my right hand, if I have it, I'm already playing. I'm playing.
Yeah.
And man, I had it in both wrists. It was horrifying. But again, no.
Before we go, I want to plug the Hollywood All Stars again for anybody
Please, man.
Saturday, June 25th, 2 weeks from this Saturday. What I like about the All Stars is that they're somebody's asking me, so what's the music like? What's the band? I said, it's like high end. It's not a Vegas act, but if you want to see a really good fucking band in Vegas playing good music with a horn section, this is the kind of band you would go see, the Hollywood All Stars, and you got it right here in Connecticut. So Saturday at the Waterbury Palace Theater, under the direction of Sir Stephen Gasper.
Man, let me tell you what, he'll tell you how much I like the band.
Yeah, he already
Yeah.
mentioned. So
I
I'm
think you
glad
guys.
that I'm on. Thanks to you, and I'm glad I'm on that. I'm on at least it's one track, but I'm on the album.
Hey man,
So,
I'm. It's the track for me. That track just kicked my ass, man. I mean,
appreciate it, man. Really.
but
appreciate
again,
it.
So and believe me, your family. You've always been family, but now,
Yeah, I'm glad we met. So
Yeah,
so
me too.
cool.
And we'll do. We'll mix it up. We'll
We'll be in touch. You keep in touch, and
We will. But let me ask you the last question, because this is.
I didn't get the last question.
Oh no, this is the one, man. This is
What's the last question?
The last question is, if you could play one gig with anybody or any combination of guys, living or dead, who would it be?
It would be the Black Rose.
Oh, okay.
If I could play a gig, it would be that band, because I love, Chris Robinson is a mixture to me of Mick Jagger, Robert Plant, and I don't know who the third person would be. Maybe James Brown. James Brown or Prince, but you know that energy, and I love that. I love that bluesy rock, you know, funky rockish. The Steve Gorman. Have you ever seen Steve Gorman playing?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He's like you. He's like I think he plays traditional, but man, he just lays that fucking that where he sits on the groove, and it's so big. You know,
well, yeah, man. Believe me, the Black Crows. Now, let me ask: was that Mark Ford's band? Wasn't Mark Ford the guitar player in that band?
Yep.
The Black Crows.
Yeah, he was.
It may be, but and excuse me the fact that I didn't know his name, but yeah, he's like the second guitar because Chris Robinson is the other guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
So that other guy, skinny guy. Who you talking about? Is he a skinny guy?
Yeah, and I'll tell you how this is another.
That guy's a motherfucker. I'm sorry.
Well, let me tell you what. I produced a record for him. The company was releasing songs from the material world, a tribute to George Harrison, right? And everybody, Big Head Todd Rundgren, Entwistle, Leslie, all kinds of people were on this record. And they said, "Do you know Mark Ford?" And I said, "Well, I know who he is." And they said, "Well, he's going to do I Me Mine, right? All through the day." And the version that he did with Barry Oakley Jr. Oh man, his band, and that is on YouTube. There's a video of that somebody made.
I Me Mine.
It's called I Me Mine. Mark Ford band. Mark Ford and the. Oh God, you'll find.
I Me Mine.
Yeah, the beat of the George Harrison song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I Me Mine, I Me Mine.
Yeah,
but man,
Mark with a C.
yes,
M-A-R-C.
Mark with a C. At Ford, and
yeah, he's a badass. I love that guy.
Man, but check out what they did to this song. It was.
I'll check it out most definitely.
So
man,
Black Crows, man, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Black Crows.
Well, man, this was. You can tell by the clock that I enjoyed it.
Me too. It's like that drum lesson. It's like that drum lesson that you give to a student, and you really hit it off, and it goes past an hour. This is like.
I know. The sun's going down. Johnny, it's time for dinner. Tell the teacher to leave. I hear you.
It's a pleasure meeting you. It's probably meeting your wife, even though she's somewhere back there.
No, she's not one for the spotlight, but she's yeah.
I'll be jumping in on some of the Zoom stuff with you now, man. I appreciate it. I love talking music and everything, in life, man.
And he'll call you about the shirts.
I'll call you about the shirts.
Please do that. That I want to check
man.
out. I want to see if you got something that I might be able to wear that's not looking like Steve's.
No, I'm thinking I got you covered.
Yeah.
I'm knowing.
I'm a shirt. I'm wearing a Ramones t-shirt now, but I'm a shirt guy. Like I love shirts.
Okay.
Well, it would be my pleasure to wear, but we'll do that. There's no question.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
All right, Steve.
Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you real soon. I'll talk to you even sooner. And bless your heart, man. Talk
all right,
soon.
Steve. Thanks, brother.
Yeah,
bye, Tony.
Right. Take care.
Bye.
Tony. Well, that's how it's going to go if there's a drummer in the house, man. Especially one that plays. When you hear this song, when you hear the Hollywood All-Stars, and you hear the song that Tony played on, I wish I could play it for you. It's so good. But
But he was very personable.
Yeah, he's great. And
not all drummers are like that.
All the good ones are. No, it's true. And when you get two drummers that like to tell stories and have stories to tell, and that's an all-nighter. That's an all-frickin' nighter.
All right.
Well,
if we want to eat, it's 8:35.
Well, my thanks to Steve Gaspar and the Hollywood All-Stars.
Yes.
Man, when you guys get a chance to hear that record, you need to hear it. These are real people playing real instruments real well. So I can't say anything more than that. It's past my bedtime, and if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, kids.